Good evening and welcome to the June 23rd, 2022 Infrastructure Oversight Board meeting. Ms. Coronado, would you like to do the flag salute?
Sure.
Okay.
Everyone join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And can we get the roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Armin Abazian,
Present.
Walter Brennan Jr.,
Present.
Maria Coronado,
Present.
Vanessa Rachel,
Present.
Tamala Takahashi,
Present.
and Jeff Vanderboort is currently absent.
I'm here also.
Mr. Jackson.
Sorry, Greg Jackson.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Still for now.
Do we have any announcements this evening? Yes, Mr.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Abazian.
Thank you. As we discussed in our previous meetings, that IOB will send a liaison to the Traffic and Transportation Commission. I participated in the meeting this week, Monday, on June 20th. There was two items discussed. Item one was regarding Burbank Bus Title VI program triennial update. That the report was presented to the commission and asked to make a recommendation to the city council to adopt the plan. The report will go to the city council on August 9 for approval and adoption. The next item discussed was the complete streets on-street bicycle protection and measures presented to the commission, and basically it was to identify some of the opportunities and basically trade-offs in implementing the bike lanes and bicycle facilities for on-street bicycle use. One suggestion I have, since this was our first meeting we participated in the commission, was if staff have any question, review the meeting agenda and the items before the meeting and send their questions to the representative that's going to be in the next meeting. That way we'll have, at least if any other board members have any question, we can present those questions and address back them to our board.
Through the chair, our city attorney has a comment on that potential action.
Yes, thanks, Director and members of the board. I just wanted to caution that if you do send comments collectively as a group, that potentially could be an issue with the Brown Act. So maybe if there is any questions, you guys can send it directly to the Transportation Commission Secretary if you have some comments directly to them, but probably not best to communicate it through a member just to avoid having that issue.
Thank you.
Yes, if I may add, Madam Chair and board members, the caveat is the attendee, the liaison from the IOB, without action of the IOB, cannot represent the IOB as a whole and potentially have a discussion with the Transportation Commission. My apologies.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Perhaps the best action would be to send it to Karina and then look at the question and see if it's a appropriate question, or rather than sending it to that transportation. Or are you saying that the individual member of the board would send it to transportation as an individual, like, community member?
Well, again, I know I don't want to get into the discussion.
Yeah.
But let's recall that the purpose of the liaison was to listen to the Transportation Commission meeting and come back and report on that meeting. And if there are items that are under the IOB's purview that the liaison says thinks could be agendized in the future, at the end of the meeting where it's a potential future agenda item, that could be suggested.
Okay, great. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Any other announcements?
Nothing from staff?
Oh, great. Okay. Do we have any public comment tonight?
So we have nothing through Zoom, and as far as the phone line goes,
Did you have a public comment, sir? Do we have public comment cards? I think?
nothing on public comment for the phone lines, but I believe we do have one public comment in person. Yeah, you can fill it out after you talk. That's fine.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. If you may please state your name, and you have 5 minutes to address the board.
Thank you. This is more formal than I'm used to. Hi, Jason Lewis. I'm a Transportation Commissioner. I'm here not on behalf of the Transportation Commission because we actually didn't go forward with any motions like you guys did. You all, pardon me, did. And I'm just here to listen and learn, and I appreciate you sending a representative to our meeting, and glad that we can discuss things across our two shared interests, and being, transportation as well as safety, most of all, for us we've been talking about lately. I should emphasize, that was the big topic of the Complete Streets program, was ways we can make our streets safer, the topic we shared last time. So anyway, thanks, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for coming tonight and your comments. Any other board replies? Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Then let's get right into the reports, and we'll start with, oh, actually, no, approval of minutes first. So let's do the approval of minutes. Would anyone like to make a comment or question about last month's minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second? All right, thank you. Let's take a vote.
Okay. And we can take a group vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Unanimous vote for approval.
Great, thank you. All right, let's move on to the reports to the board. And the first one tonight is our Parks and Rec Capital Improvement Program update for fiscal year 2021-2022. And Ms. Marissa Garcia will be doing our report tonight. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Takahashi and board members. It's lovely to see you all in person. I will just do a really quick introduction, and I'm going to have Grace Coronado do the actual presentation to the board, and of course we're both here to answer any questions. So just as a form of an overview for the board, just letting you know what our process is in Parks and Recreation when we are looking at identifying the projects that we'd like to propose for capital improvement in the year. So we, as many of you may know, we have a Parks and Recreation Board who oversees and that's the liaison to the council on matters. General matters regarding our Parks and Recreation Department, including our capital projects. So what we do annually is we'll look at our unfunded needs list, as you are all very familiar with. We also annually do a facility tour with our park board, in which we share with them some of the accomplishments, some of the projects that we've completed, give them a tour of some of our programs that might be going on, as well as have them give us feedback on some of the, those kind of important projects that we'd like to present. We also, throughout the beginning in January, January, February, March meetings, and now we're going to move it up a little bit. We do a monthly report to our park board to get further feedback from them on what their priorities are, whether for both capital improvement as well as programmatic. Additionally, right, so we work very closely with our Parks and Recreation Board. We also interact with the public on a daily basis. We get a lot of feedback, just organic feedback, and we also I take a lot of pride in what our department does in terms of surveys or very defined community engagement, whether it's for a specific project as we're doing, or more like a general, like an annual, like tell us what you want, what are your priorities, and so we take all of this feedback that we receive and take our professional recommendations of what we can do and what we think are a priority, and that's how we develop our list. Then we complete the forms that go through and are then further ranked and ultimately make it before this board for recommendation to the City Council. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Grace Coronado, who's going to walk you through our accomplishments this current fiscal year that we're wrapping up, give you an update on some of the projects that we haven't quite finished. We're hoping to get those done in the next few months, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
There's copies of the PowerPoint for you. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Good evening, Chair Takahashi and members of the board. My name is Grace Coronado, the Administrative Officer of the Parks and Recreation Department. This evening, I have the pleasure of sharing the Parks and Recreation Department's completed capital improvement projects for fiscal year 2021-2022. Additionally, I'll provide a brief overview of the projects that are in progress. Although the following projects I am sharing were briefly shared by Public Works staff, Mr. Hoon Han, which did a wonderful job at your May 26th meeting, I will provide the board with a closer look into each project accompanied by some visuals. If we could start the presentation, thank you. Playgrounds are an essential commodity in neighborhood parks, and it's important to maintain the playgrounds to ensure longevity and safety. The department prides itself in providing quality equipment for the community to enjoy, and in doing so, the department established an internal 10-year cycle for playground replacements. Community engagement workshops combined with the replacement cycle of play equipment were utilized to prioritize and complete these 3 play equipment renovation projects at George Izay, Miller, Robert Gross Park Playgrounds. The total project cost for the 3 playgrounds was roughly $940,000. Completed in April 2022. Going back to the 10-year replacement cycle, as I mentioned, it's an internal cycle because we've observed that it's about typically a 10-year mark when equipment pieces start to break more often and replacement parts become a little bit more challenging to locate as equipment standards change and pieces start to be discontinued. I will add that nothing really says that a playground can't remain installed for beyond 10 years of its life. To begin, here is George Izay, Miller, and Gross Park Playground renovations. As we take a look, each playground you will notice has a specific theme. George Izay Playground is train themed. Being nearby the historical and former train tracks along the Chandler bike path, that's where the inspiration came from. George Izay Playground is a little unique, being that council supported adding 3 new equipment elements. In order to add these elements, we will be removing some pieces to add more engaging pieces for the community to enjoy. There's a little bit more a different angle for a low train. As you can see in the slide, these are the new elements. And also probably a better view in the handouts that were provided to you. A wave climber, freeformer climber, spin max orbit play structure. The playground design consists of expanding the 5 to 12-year-old play structure by adding a row of features that include a wave climber, a freeformer climber, a corresponding 60-foot landing zone on the structure, and a caboose wheels panel on the ground level. The Climber Hub. Another new enhancement, this design is for children 5 to 12 years old that will feature various interactive climbing elements that include a tri-step jungle traverse, wheel traverse, tri-ring climbing hub, a 90-degree loop traverse, and multiple access pads. It's okay. I'll continue as you have the PowerPoint. Spin Max Orbit Play Structure. In addition, the department staff will be included in the previously mentioned, the department staff included the Spin Max Orbit Play Structure. This multi-user spherical spin offers unique climbing and spinning experiences, with 2 interior levels for children to explore and plenty of inclusive seating. Asymmetrical netting creates a variety of openings, perfect for users of varying size and ability. These improvements to the existing playground will further enhance a child's recreation opportunity, which leads to a host of physical fitness benefits that include improved flexibility and balance, development of motor skills, dexterity, and hand-eye coordination, all promotion of healthy heart and lung function and stronger muscles. Here's another view. Miller Park Playground renovation. Joaquin Miller Park Playground has a Western theme. This is a joint use with the Burbank Unified School District and the Parks and Recreation Department. During non-instructional hours, the city is responsible for the playground. Notably, the school and the community have provided the city with only positive feedback to the new addition to the community. And here's one more photo of a few more elements. Robert E. Gross Park Playground. This has an aviation theme. Interesting fact, Lockheed donated over 4.8 park acres to the city. And once again, the neighborhood has been thrilled with the new playground and has provided the city with nothing but positive feedback as well. Here's one more view. Moving on to DeBell driving range improvements. The total project cost was $225,000 and was completed in April 2022. Driving range improvements include sod driving range landing area with hybrid Bermuda grass turf, concrete paved T-line, and the addition of targets and dividers. Additional improvements include the enclosure of the driving range with netting. These upgrades will increase user and pedestrian safety and enhance program opportunities overall. Additionally, the department is projecting an increase in revenue from the current $265,000 to $500,000, which is an 88% increase. Here's another photo. A few more nice photos we have to kind of show off a little bit. It's beautiful. Larry Maxam Park lighting modernization. The total project cost, $143,700. And the project was completed in October 2021. Out of our 15 ball fields, this year the department completed 3 of these projects. Depending on staffing resources and funding resources, the department would like to continue modernizing lights throughout our ball fields. Ball field lighting at George Izay and Valley Parks, total cost was $585 and was completed in February 2022. Replacement of the current metal halide lighting with an energy-efficient LED system provides utility and maintenance cost savings. It improves field of play visibility, a safer play environment for users, and a reduction in light spilling over into the surrounding residential areas, which again is very much appreciated by the residents, as you can imagine. The reduction of energy cost is estimated at 40% over typical 1,500 watts metal halide, further reducing the city's carbon footprint. And a fun fact, the youth and adult sports section actually programs 13,000 games with over 20,000 participants. Capital improvement projects, so that concludes our projects that were completed this fiscal year. I'm now going to move on to the projects that are currently in progress and give you a brief summary of where we are with them. DeBell Clubhouse improvements. This project includes enhancements to the dressing room area, along with the removal of a solid glass wall into sliding glass doors. The new doors enables the department to host large meetings and events. And as many of you know, the city is in need of more event space. So this is just going to continue to create more opportunities and create more revenue. DeBell Golf Irrigation Replacement Phase 1. This $1.8 million project is under construction and is expected to be completed in August 2022, so not too far. There were large sections of the irrigation system that were 60 years old with a high failure rate. With the new completed irrigation system, staff projects a 15% reduction in water use. Smart controllers installed could instantly identify water leakage, saving time and staff resources to troubleshoot problems. The next project, indoor-outdoor court and flooring resurfacing. This project specifically supports the resurfacing of outdoor tennis and basketball courts. Moving on to picnic facility improvements at Verdugo. This project will enhance the overall use for the user experience. And this is annual projects that we have. We're always looking at updating our parks, our facilities, and this is just another addition that the community appreciates, being that we have a very high volume with our picnic reservations throughout our parks. Playground placement at Valley Park and Overham Community Center. This project is in design, and we anticipate it to be completed by December 2022. The Schaefer Bleachers shade structure installation. Another one of the department's goals to systematically install shade structures over bleachers across our ball fields. This project focuses on the bleachers, again, at Schaefer Ball Field. And the Verdugo Recreation Center basketball backboard replacement. This project is slated to be completed right before the beginning of the school year in August 2022. And this concludes my presentation, and our Parks and Rec Director, Marissa Garcia, and I are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Coronado. That was great. It's great to see visuals and get a sense of the scope of work that you've done this year. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Yeah, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, very nice presentation. I was especially impressed with the creative play equipment that are being installed. I mean, I might have turned out differently if that type of creative thing was when I was a child, but that's past history. You mentioned in progress, and you gave us dates on at least 3, I think, of the projects. The other ones just hang out there as in progress. Also, there's one that's delayed, and you didn't explain really what in progress means. I mean, does it mean, is it in design? Does it mean that it's under contract? Does it mean that it's 25 or 50% completed in construction? So please, for those projects, and also the one that's been delayed, explain further.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to do so. And again, I don't think I introduced myself, Marissa Garcia with Parks and Recreation. I know Grace. Grace mentioned. So the DeBell Clubhouse improvements. So the glass sliding door has been completed, and we had requested additional funding. It was nominal amount, I want to say in a neighborhood of like $30,000 for us to complete the renovation of the dressing rooms at the clubhouse. So those will be completed soon after the new fiscal year when we have funding. I believe, I apologize, I left my notes on my chair. I believe that will be completed within the first quarter of the fiscal year. So by October, that will be completed. The talked about the irrigation replacement. That will be done in October. Everything's on schedule. Crossing our fingers, it remains on schedule. The court resurfacing, we are working with our purchasing department to augment our contract. We have a limit, and so we've reached our limit for the fiscal year. That should be completed within the first, within the first quarter of our new fiscal year. We try to do some of these projects in the fall, kind of in that. There's a couple of sweet spots for us. We have to work around programming. We don't want to take down some of our outdoor courts in the middle of summer. So it's usually we wait till like school starts, and we can, and some of these resurfacings are pretty quick turnaround projects. So that should be done within the first quarter of the new fiscal year. And again, we want to get that done before the rainy season. The picnic facility improvements at Verdugo, that was delayed, and I apologize, I don't have a date. It was delayed because of our staff workload. So all of these projects that you see here are managed by Parks and Recreation staff. So we are trying to balance our Parks and Recreation responsibilities, and we take on these projects. Obviously, we have some limited, as a whole city, we have some limited staffing resources for capital projects. So this one was delayed, although it's super important to us. It was not super high on that priority list. I do envision that that is going to get done. Trust me, it will get done because it is a priority of mine. We will most likely complete this project in the winter time. Again, we don't want to take out a heavily used picnic area when the community wants to use it. And the replacement of Valley Park and Overham Community Center, as Ms. Coronado mentioned, that's in design, and that will be done before the end of the calendar year. Schaefer bleacher shade structures. I believe that is with our purchasing department, and we're trying to finalize a contract. And I don't have a date. We're not provided a date yet, but that's something that will be done this year. And last but not least, the Verdugo Recreation Center backboard replacement. We're all on schedule. Everything's ordered, and we're going to get that done right before our school starts. Again, we have a vested interest to get these done before our basketball season because we don't want to take down the gymnasium when we need it for our programming. I hope this addresses your questions. I will tell you that we're very committed to completing our projects on an annual basis. The direction to my team, and obviously, my goal is to only ask for funding for projects that I know that we have the capacity to complete. And so I'm confident that we'll get these done and make a lot of nice progress with the funding that we received effective July 1st.
Thank you very much. I
Sure.
think that additional information gives
Great.
us a better understanding of where we're going. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I have a few questions
Sure.
for you. I really appreciate the updates about George Izay Park. We know that was a community very involved community project. And is it done now, or is it still in progress, that one?
No, we actually presented the new proposed designs to our Parks and Recreation Board at our May meeting, I believe. Kind of going back a little bit, we just completed an extensive Izay Park master plan process. We wanted to use that again as another opportunity for the community to provide feedback on that playground. Once that community engagement process completed, we took that feedback. I knew, just having spoken to our community members and council members, we knew what we were going to do, but we wanted to make sure that we gave everybody an opportunity to provide feedback. We did present what we're recommending to our park board. They endorsed that the day after we placed the order with our manufacturer to order those pieces. When we placed the order, we were told we would get those pieces in August. I have not received an update since then, but I do know that some replacement pieces for some other playgrounds that have broken. Normally, it was a 6 to 8 week lead time. We're now told it's 12 to 24 months. I'm sorry, weeks. Sorry. So yes, so that's where we're at with that.
Okay, great. The community is really looking forward to that park, I
Yes.
think, yeah. And thank you for all the work that you did to really update it in a thoughtful way. So we use that park a lot when my kids were small, so appreciate that. A couple other items. Earlier this week, I attended the Brace Canyon Project presentation, and it's not here on the list, so I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, where you're at in that, and then where your funding expectations are for that as well.
Absolutely. So in 2019, I believe, Parks and Recreation was notified through the Department of Water, or Burbank Water and Power Department, of our inability to utilize any chemicals, fertilizers, organic or otherwise, on the turf, the two ball fields at Brace Canyon Park. Reason being, for those that may not know, the ball fields were built above the water reservoir. And due to some new state water drinking regulations, they have a maximum containment level for potential seepage into drinking water, which absolutely we'll all want to make sure that we protect our valuable drinking water. So because we're unable to utilize any sort of chemicals to maintain our turf in a safe, playable condition, we had to come back, and we actually have been working really closely with Burbank Water and Power on some alternatives. The alternative that was identified at that time, I believe in 2020 fiscal year, was to replace the natural turf with synthetic turf. And that was included in the budget. We identified, to this day, I'm very proud to say that we have not allocated any general fund dollars, 534 Measure P. To date, I'm not going to say that, it's going to be that way, but we have leveraged a Measure A dollars, money that we get from the county. We are applying for a grant. And then we have development impact fees. So thus far, I want to say we have a couple $1 million, nearwards of $2 million that's been allocated to this project. We just are in the middle of our community engagement phase. We have held 2 community meetings to get feedback. We do have an online survey that will close at the end of June. Once we complete the community engagement phase, we will take the community's feedback and move forward with design and ultimate recommendation to the City Council on how we move forward with those ball fields. We have received recently this week some feedback, concerns with the use of artificial turf. A general concern, and I've been meeting with our Burbank Water and Power General Manager and their team, and we've both agreed that the best thing to do right now is to direct our teams to go back and make sure that we are, have not left any stone unturned when it comes to our options for that field. If there is a way to maintain natural turf in a safe, or in a way that will protect our drinking water, that will be an option that we will explore. So we are committed to that. I did speak with the Sierra Club Verdugo chapter this afternoon. Had a really nice, this morning, had a nice conversation with the chair, and let them know where we are and where we're going to move forward. Once we've done our due diligence, we take in the community feedback, we will be presenting our proposed plan to our Parks and Recreation Board. It's a community meeting, it's public, we will welcome, again, the community's feedback at that time. And after we present it to our Park and Recreation Board, we'll be presenting it to the City Council for ultimate, approval. And so, yeah.
Great, thank you.
That is where we are with that.
And you didn't mention the fact also that you're using this opportunity to create a really flexible and adaptive field that's unlike any other field in the city, which is an amazing feat. So thank you for that update. I'm really looking forward to seeing that project move forward.
Absolutely, thank you so much for I was focusing on the the natural versus artificial, because that's been kind of my world the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with synthetic turf, one of the benefits of utilizing synthetic turf is that I will say all of our ball fields are a multi-purpose field. Even though they're designed as ball fields, we have like football, we have soccer, we do track. I mean, we do everything on our 15 ball fields. We do not have any synthetic fields under Parks and Recreation. The 2 high schools are synthetic turf. But if we were to ultimately end up with a synthetic field there, it does give us the opportunity to really develop more of a robust soccer program, youth and adult soccer, which I know is been a huge demand, and we're exploring lacrosse as well, and of course, baseball. That those fields are the homes of that field, that park is the home of the Burbank Little League, which is a group that the city supports as well.
Right.
Sure.
Thank you. Wonderful. Just briefly, don't need a long explanation, just curious where we're at with the cover over the Johnny Carson Park stage. That was on, we ended up not just, ending up funding it this year, but it was on our list potentially to consider. I'm just wondering where that's at now.
Yes, that is going to be discussed at our Art Public Places. So that project did not make the funding threshold for general fund dollars. I know that there is a desire to explore alternative funding through our public art funds, and that I don't believe has been discussed yet with our Art and Public Places board yet, or committee yet, as they have a couple of other projects that they're currently working on.
Okay, great. And just really briefly, I've been hearing a lot of murmuring in the community about desire for splash pads. Any updates in general about a possibility of having splash pads somewhere in the city in one of our projects?
A couple of things with splash pads. We would need to identify. I know that has come up. We need to identify a location. I will tell you, for a city of our size, having two Olympic-sized pools is unheard of. One of them is operated year-round. We have not really explored that most recently because of our state's current water shortage, and I don't believe at this time you can use reclaimed water for splash pads. So I don't think it would behoove us at this time to make that a priority project, considering what our water limitations are.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now I know what to say in the community when I get asked about it. Yes, Mr. Brennan.
Just a real quick, what's the problem with artificial turf?
There's concerns with the heat island effect, right? So it's plastic, the manufacturing. I know that there has been a lot of progress in the type of material that's used, but ultimately the grass blades are plastic, and so there's that from the environmental perspective. That is one issue. There's also I have a lot of material that I have started going through. I'm going to continue reading in terms of concerns with safety, player safety. So again, there's there isn't a right or wrong. I think there's just a lot of different differences of opinion depending on how you look at that. But the concerns right now are environmental, with how you can't recycle. There's a lifespan for artificial turf after 8 to 10 years approximately. What do you do with that? You have to replace the top, not the infrastructure,
Right.
but like the grass and the infill. I know that we're looking at cork instead of the rubber pellets, which are made out of tires, and so there's a lot behind that.
A lot of environmental issues, I take it.
Yes, and I will say that those are very valid concerns as well. To this date, I know that I mentioned that we are not allowed to use fertilizers and chemicals over the reservoirs because of the concern of protecting our water. The state has not banned the use of artificial turfs over the reservoirs, but I know that there's a concern that perhaps down the road, should that be something that's banned, where would that leave the city? Of course.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your presentation and the
course. Thank you so
information. Really appreciate it. All right. Moving on to our second item, which is the discussion for determining the location of our future IOB meetings. Mr. Berkman, is that going to be you who's going to present that tonight, or?
I think we put in the recommendations, probably better to do it. Chair, if I may, I think in the agenda, we had a recommendation to move to receive and file. It's more of a formality, but since it's on the agenda, I think maybe we should just check out that item before we move on to the next.
Yes, thank you. I didn't notice that particular recommendation. So okay, this is the first time we've done this, so motion to receive and file. Does someone like to make a motion to receive and file this information? All right, Mr. Brennan makes a motion, and second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Carano, so take a vote.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, unanimous approval.
Great, thank you. Will this be likely what we'll be doing moving forward, or is this a particular special case for this one? Because we haven't done this one before, we haven't motioned to receive and file before.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure. It's a recommendation was there, and I think our city attorney saw it, and
Oh.
we took the action.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
All
yes,
right.
Chair. It's mainly because I saw that there was a recommendation to actually do a motion, so I wanted to be, in a lot of ways, I'm more nitpicky than most people. I like to follow the formality, but we could describe it differently if we don't want to make that.
I think we
motion
could
pass.
remove the words motion, and we just say receive and file. I think that'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Or eliminate a recommendation next time when we prep the.
Okay, okay, great, thank you. And thank you for dotting the i's and crossing the t's, appreciate that. All right, let's move on now to item number 2, discussion for determining the location of future in-person IOB meetings. Would that be Mr. Berkman?
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, I'll start off with a quick apology. I could have written this more accurately as far as the topic. It should, I believe, read, staff will discuss moving the monthly meeting from the city council chambers to the community service building conference room. It is staff's prerogative to set the meeting locations and dates and times. And with this item, the thought process was to move it to the Community Services Building 104. If anybody's not familiar, it's basically the ground floor of the entrance for the Community Services Building over at, across the street at 3rd and Olive. And the thought process was it's all set up for video. It'll be televised. It'll be recorded. We confirm that it can take phone calls, and it'll be the same capabilities as the council chambers. The difference from a city council meeting to a committee, commission, or board meeting is it's a much more collaborative process, and I think the setup of a rectangle with all of us together, it's typically something that's been beneficial for committees, commissions, and boards. So I thought we could take a look at it and see how it works, but I was looking to do that at the next meeting. I did not want to just announce that. I wanted to make it a report to the board so I can hear thoughts or concerns or anything that you wanted to share. So I wanted to provide that opportunity, but that is our goal starting the next meeting to move to CSB 104 conference room. So that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments about moving over? Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Texan.
What exactly is the benefit for us moving over there? I mean, the last time I was in that room, I think the decor was folding plastic chairs and card tables. This is at least a little, the chair is at least a little bit more comfortable. So who's benefiting from this move that you're advocating?
I think it's all of us. The chairs are not the leather seats you're sitting in. That is true. But when it's sitting in the rectangle, I think it facilitates the conversation and makes it a more collaborative feel. And it's just it's an easy way for the public to get in there. There's no stairs, for example. It's just easy access with the ADA ramp right there. So there are multiple benefits to it. And I think it would be a good thing to try.
Any other thoughts or questions? No? Okay. Yeah, I've been in that room for meetings many times. It's set up. I think it would be. I do agree with the chairs are very comfortable in here, though.
Understood.
And one other benefit in there too, just a small one in case anybody is curious, is you can bring food in there and drink. They allow that in there. Here we can't.
Good point, Madam Chair. Thank you.
About. Yeah. All right. So when will we know at the next meeting what staff has discussed and how are we actually going to meet at the other?
Right. The next agenda would identify the location, and if the city attorney is okay with this, we could provide a blind copy email through the recording secretary to confirm that in advance.
Okay. And the next meeting is July, right? Or,
Did we want to, we are done with report to board item 2, we can move on.
okay,
I believe.
we'll finish that up first then. Okay, so any other questions about moving over to the other room next time? No? Okay, great. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to discuss it.
Thank you, board members.
Okay, so let's see. So the next then item will be introduction of additional agenda items. So I did want to remark before anyone else has a chance to pop in, I wanted to remark that last month we had an additional agenda item listed. I just want to make sure it stays on our list. In the minutes, it had to hold a workshop for discussion and further define the role of the IOB. Just make sure it stays on our radar. Mr. Berkman, you and I had discussed a little bit the timing on that, but we still want to make sure we don't lose it. All right. Any other?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
May I, just for the record, the pending agenda item will be to conduct a workshop to discuss can you help me fill in the rest of that?
Right. Yes. So it was.
Further define the role.
Further
Yes.
define the role of the Infrastructure Oversight Board?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's that's what it says in the minutes from last
Oh,
month.
good. All right. Thank you.
So we can use that same verbiage, I think, from last month. But just to review, I believe it was Mr. Vanderbort's item that he brought up that he wanted a little more clarification on some of the finer details of what the board's responsibility were. And then we also had discussed too the follow-up at some point for discussion of the safety
The joint
aspect of
meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other items tonight? No? Wow, okay. Then, going on to the next item, which is pending agenda items, which we just, I guess, talked about, is to make sure that we have the other one underneath, under I. And before we adjourn, you want to talk about our next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. The staff sets the city council meetings based on the agenda and the needs to hold a meeting. We do not have any additional agenda items or pending agenda items now, so staff is going to cancel the July meeting, and our next meeting will be the regular scheduled August meeting for our fourth Thursday of that month.
Okay, great.
So we can enjoy a month of vacation if you'd like.
Wonderful. All right, any last minute things before we adjourn? Well, thank you so much for being here tonight for this quick meeting. I really love meetings about presenting what we've finished. That's always exciting to see these presentations of projects. So thank you for that. And meeting is adjourned.
Great. Thank you.